Of course. Well, our centre that we're sitting in here at the moment, Darren, was built in November 2009. So we've been here for 7 years now, and it has grown considerably in terms of the number of dogs coming through our doors, the number of staff, the number of volunteers. So, we feel that's a really positive thing in terms of improving animal welfare, and especially for dogs of Ireland. The centre itself caters for about 150 to 200 dogs at any given time. About 80% of the dogs that we have here come from local authority pounds all over Ireland. So we have our ambulance driver Ian, who goes around to pounds all over Ireland, not just in Dublin, and he collects dogs who have completed their 5 days, statutory 5 days in the pound, and he brings them to our centre then to try and find them loving new homes. So we also run some subsidised neutering and microchipping campaigns, which are to help people on means tested social welfare benefits to be able to get their dogs neutered and microchipped. And then we also run education campaigns. My colleague Deirdre that you spoke about, she would be one of our education officers in Kilkenny. So she would visit primary school children. She'll teach them about responsible dog ownership and being safe around dogs. So, the objective behind that, Darren, is just hopefully reaching out to the dog owners of tomorrow and the future so that they'll be able to make responsible decisions, in the future when it comes to adopting dogs.
And when was Dogs Trust first set up in Ireland? Was it 2009, or I believe it was originally set up in England, were it?
Yes, Dogs Trust initially has come from the UK. It was set up in 1891, so a long, long time ago, by a group of ladies who were involved in Crufts. So
What's Crufts?
Crufts is the annual dog show that's held every year, and I think it's in Birmingham. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's a nice day out for the dog-loving community. It's evolved from there. The centres, I think there's 20 centres in the UK. We have one centre here in Ireland, and there's an international programme as well, which offers welfare grants to some international organisations to help improve welfare standards for animals all around the world.
Are you seeing any other countries apart from the UK and Ireland?
Like I just mentioned, we would offer grants to some countries, so we did have a presence in Malta to try and help people neuter their dogs to reduce the number of dogs on the street, and the same again in Bosnia. So we've also done international programs in places like Hungary and India, I think are two that I can think of offhand, just to help improve the welfare standards for dogs all over the world.
The reason we are talking today is because you have a big campaign going at the moment, don't you, called Stop Keeping Mum. Could you tell us who is this mum?
So I'm not sure if you've heard, Darren, our slogan at Dogs Trust, we've trademarked it as a dog is for life, not just for Christmas. So that was trademarked, God, it must be about 30 years ago by our then CEO, Clarissa Baldwin. So each year around Christmas, we try and think of, a thought-provoking campaign, to make people think twice about maybe getting a puppy at Christmas. So this year we all sat down, and what we wanted to do was shed light on the mums in puppy farms all over Ireland and the vile conditions they're being kept in that are unknown to the public. The people going out to buy puppies see this cute puppy and they might not necessarily think that there's a poor struggling mother in a puppy farm somewhere. So what we did, Darren, was we made a short video. It's on the website. You can have a look. It's www.stopkeepingmum.com, and the video shows a production line of animated puppies, and they're passing along the screen with some quotes. So there's quotes like, "I've never seen the light of day," "I've never been given a name." And then at the end of the video, it pans up to see this gorgeous spaniel mum called Honor. And Honor actually came to us following a puppy farm closure last year. And she was in horrific condition. She was heavily pregnant. Her coat was matted with feces. She'd bad eye and ear infections. And just in terms of her manner and her demeanour, you could tell that she was very nervous, that, she wasn't hugely socialised with humans. She had never walked on a lead before. So she just seemed like a really good candidate to represent the puppy farm mums all over Ireland. So she got to be the star of our video, and I'm delighted to let you know that she actually has found a forever home with a lovely lady, a lovely family actually, and they have another dog, and she's living the life that she deserves to live.
I think I only heard of the problem of illegal puppy farms in the last couple of years. Am I right in thinking that this issue has grown in the last couple or few years?
I think puppy farming is something that has existed for quite a while, but I think platforms such as social media, Facebook and Twitter, are helping the message to reach more people who might have not necessarily been aware of the scale of the problem. It's something that we've been lobbying the government for the last 7 years, to try and improve the welfare standards for mums in dog breeding establishments, and it's something that we will continue to work on going forward.
You have some particular advice to your supporters, dog lovers in general, and the general public on puppies in general, don't you, on getting a puppy? Can you tell us what that is?
So when you do think about getting a puppy, Darren, it's a huge commitment. Obviously we're coming up to Christmas now, and kids are awful for the pester power. Please can I have a dog, please can I have a dog. And we just ask parents, first of all, not to give in to the pester power of children. If it is a case that it's something you've been genuinely considering and you really do want to add a dog to your family, you need to think about the long-term commitment. The average lifespan for a dog is probably about 14 years. It can cost in and around €10,000 to look after a dog for the course of its life. That's not taken into account, heaven forbid, that your dog was to get sick or to have an ongoing illness, which, bills can build up pretty fast. So you just need to be aware of that commitment before you make the decision. And also to think carefully about what breed is going to suit your family and your lifestyle. Each breed, I think dogs are quite like people. They're individuals and they have different personalities, and I think specific breeds suit different kinds of family. And what I mean by that is, collies would prefer to be with an active family. They're quite, energetic. They're very intelligent dogs, so they're going to need a lot of stimulation mentally and physically. And a dog that's kind of left at home, with nobody interacting with it, they can do things like end up getting destructive, chewing up your couch and, wrecking your favourite shoes. So, it's a big decision to consider that in the first instance. And then we would urge people to try and go to a rescue centre if they do make a decision to get a dog, to add a dog to their family. If it's a case that they've decided to actually go ahead and buy a puppy, just to be mindful of where you're actually going to buy that puppy. If it's a case that you've chosen a particular breed, maybe you could speak to your local veterinary practice who might be able to recommend a reputable breeder for that particular breed. Or failing that, you could go to the Irish Kennel Club, who would have a list of reputable breeders around Ireland. And to make sure that when you do go out to view your puppy, that you get to see the mum. I mean, that's kind of relating back to the campaign, and one of the main asking points from the campaign is to make sure that when you are getting a pup, that you always ask to see mum, that you see your puppy interacting with its mother, and where possible with its litter mates too. Socialization is something that's really important for puppies. So, they need to be in a home environment where they're exposed to, the daily goings on, the doorbell, people coming and going, being handled so that they don't develop behavioural issues going forward in the future. You need to just make sure then that there's no sign of illness, if they're coughing, that there's no discharge around their eyes or ears, and, just that their demeanour is quite happy, they're not lifeless and listless. So I think those would be the main points that we would ask people just to be mindful of. And don't, if you're unsure, if somebody's asking to meet you in a car park somewhere or at the side of a road, walk away, because it's quite likely that those are people who are coming from puppy farms looking to sell on their dogs for profit.
Yeah. You get a dog from a cheap puppy, not from a reputable breeder, or say from yourselves. They might have health problems, and they might only last a couple of years, and you could be dead.
Exactly, it's definitely a very valid point, Aaron. Like I mentioned, dogs need to be socialised, so being exposed to the daily goings-ons in the home, being handled, some long-haired breeds will need to be groomed going forward, so they need to be comfortable being picked up and touched. And then things like health conditions, pups that are kept in below par kind of conditions can pick up diseases such as parvovirus, which is fatal in some instances for puppies, or it can end up costing a huge amount of money in veterinary bills. Things like worms and parasites, it's something that you take for granted, that these things can be fatal in young puppies, and they do need to be treated. So if you do go out again, just going back to what I said previously, if you do go out to a family home or to, a breeder who has a litter of puppies, again, ask if the puppies have been wormed, if they've been treated for fleas, if their vaccination records are up to date, just so that you feel a little bit more confident that the puppy that you're getting is well, and is not going to develop problems going forward. There's also issues around inbreeding when it comes to puppy farming, so they can develop problems like hip dysplasia or...
This is health problems because they're
exactly.
inbred, and they might have a very short lifespan.
Exactly. It can just, there's the lifespan and then there's the cost, whether people can look after that going forward. So, I mean, if you were to get a puppy yourself, Darren, say, for example, a German Shepherd puppy that, they're prone to suffering things like hip dysplasia. It's not something that you've taken into account, and all of a sudden you're landed with this huge vet bill. You're either going to be able to pay the bill, or you need to make a decision as to, what are you going to do with this dog? And it's in those sad situations that puppies and dogs end up either in the pound or in rescue centres around Ireland. So, breeders should be able to give you as much information as possible to make you feel comfortable and confident that you are getting a happy, healthy pup from them.
Yeah, my parents I don't live with my parents now. My parents have a dog. It's their third dog they've had over the last, say, 20 years. The third dog, Patch, they got him a pound down in Cork, West Cork somewhere. And he was about 6 when they got him. He's about 10 or 11 now. But within the first few months of getting him, he had pulled some muscle in his back leg, and he had to have an operation. That cost €1,000. And then within another 6 months, he pulled the other muscle, and that cost another €1,000. So I'm just letting you know, like, my parents had the money just about, and we still have them. I'm not going to get rid of them, but like, it does, the financial cost of dogs, it's big enough anyway, but it can be very big if you haven't got the money in the bank,
Exactly. So health insurance or pet insurance for dogs is obviously something that we generally recommend to people. When you adopt a dog from Dogs Trust, I can go on about that now in a few minutes, but we do offer 6 weeks free pet insurance with the option to keep up that policy then when the 6 weeks have elapsed. And it just is for peace of mind for people, and it is generally something that we would recommend because, like you said, you don't know what's going to happen, if surgeries are quite expensive. Dogs with heart problems can cost you upwards 5 to 10 grand. Same with hip dysplasia. They're pretty significant surgeries, and they are going to cost you a lot of money. So just making sure that you are covered for those, unfortunate events that can happen.
If you have pet insurance, are you covered for operations?
It depends on your policy, to be honest. I'm not an expert or qualified to give any advice on it, but they would generally cover, the out of the ordinary things that might occur. So standard things like your neutering or dental procedures aren't generally covered. But, if your dog has an accident or has developed some illness or disease, I think the majority of insurance companies are quite good in offering support and covering those costs.
My parents mustn't have had the right insurance. Okay, so it's probably their fault.
So when you do adopt a dog from Dogs Trust, the adoption fee is €130. And what that covers, Darren, is the dog being neutered, vaccinated and microchipped. They go home with a little starter bag of food, their own collar and lead. They get their 6 weeks free pet insurance, which I've just mentioned. And we also offer a lifetime of behavioural support. So, puppies are rascals. You have to contend with, toilet training. They chew up your things. And we offer advice and support in helping to manage those things. But similarly with some of the older dogs, because of the experiences they've had in their own lives, having gone from possibly a family home into the pound and then coming to a place like Dogs Trust, they can be a little bit upset or worried. So it can take them a little while to settle into new homes. So we feel that offering this behavioural support, it makes people feel a little bit more comfortable taking their dog home and knowing that we have that support there for people for the duration of the dog's life.
Okay, can you just give us the contact details of your place here outside Finglas, and can you tell us what the website is again for the Stop Keeping Mum campaign and how people can support the campaign?
Sure. Our centre is located just off exit 5 of the M50. So if you head towards Ashburn and Derry, there's a little slip road up on the left-hand side, signposted Cold Winters, and we're just at the end of that road. You can go on our website, which is www.dogstrust.ie, and on there we have information about some of the dogs looking for homes. We've got options about how you can get involved with the centre, whether you want to donate money, donate blankets, food, bedding, any of those bits and pieces are always gratefully received. And the Stop Keeping Mum website, we would love people to go on there, have a little look at the video, pledge their support, and then share with their friends this video. So the website for that, Darren, is www.stopkeepingmum.com, and we'd be really grateful for all the support we can get with that.
And including sharing it in the social media and Facebook and Twitter, yeah.
Super, yeah. When people go on to look at the video and they make you can enter your details to pledge your support, and then following that you get the options to share it on Facebook, Twitter. You can send an email to your friends with the link to the video in it. We'd love as many people as possible to see it, and to remember to always ask to see mum if you are buying or adopting a puppy.
Okay, Ciara, thanks very much.
Thank you, Darren. It was lovely to have you here today.